Hi guys, let's take a look at the 2 in the Enneagram. The 2 is a person who is concerned of being a good person, a person who takes care of people, who is caring, who is helping, and who likes to focus on others, on being there for others. So the 2 in the Enneagram is someone who is like the 1, part of the compliant, dutiful Hornevian group, or behavioural style, as I say. So their duty is to be a good person, but to be a good person in the sense of caring and being there for people. So 2s can often be seen as someone who's smiling, who's volunteering, who's helping out, who's there for you, who's a friend, who comes to take care of you if you're not well. Of course, there's stereotypes or, different ideas of how a 2 could be. We're all unique. But the 2 is someone who's there to help you. So the way as well that I describe it to is someone who loves to give compliments, but finds it sometimes hard to accept the compliment themselves. So the 2 under stress as well is a positive person. Not because they're positive of their own problems, but it's because I have to try to avoid looking at my difficulties, my troubles, any negativity that's in my life so that I could focus on yours. How can I help you? I'm okay. I'm fine. Are you okay? I'm here for you. So it's always external, always looking out. So the 2 is part of the feeling center or the heart triad. So this is part of the centers of intelligence. So they go with their heart instinct. So the 2, rather than going into their own heart, is going externally and looking for external care, looking for external attention. So the 2's fear is of being unloved. So if you're fearful of being unloved, you search externally for love. And the 2 sees it that if I give love, if I care for you, I will get it in return. So that's part of the compliant, dutiful group, where it's if I give, inevitably I will get in return. Now, the problem with that is the same as I always say for all of us, that we all have this lens with which we view the world, and we forget that people have different lenses to us. So I often have 2s say to me, but everybody wants to be a loving, kind, caring person. And they can be quite shocked when I say, no, not everybody is as focused on that as you. It may be in the minds of everybody somewhere or somehow, but it's not their main focus. So a 2's main focus is of being a good, loving person, caring, because it's their duty to be a good, loving person. But they forget that not everybody else has that duty. So the 2 can live with a lot of sadness, and that's where the heart triad comes in, where sadness or grief, where I'm not seen. I need to be seen as a loving, caring person. And if people don't eventually give back to me or care for me or, reach out to me for help, then what's going on? I need to help more. So the 2 sometimes can find it really hard to ask people for help. So that's something that the 2 has to start learning, how to ask for help, how to sit back and allow others to help them. Something that I often say to people who are part of the compliant, dutiful group, which is the 1, the 2, and the 6, but I say it a lot to 2s, is remember that people have different lenses to you. And when you remember that, it's almost like when you give, you're giving truly and with humility, not expecting people to give in return, because you remember that people don't see that you need help unless you ask for it, unless they're another 2. So the 2 is a type that's always there, that's always caring, who's positive under pressure. Now, this term positive doesn't mean that they're always bubbly happy, although some 2s can be. It's this concept that I don't want to focus on my worries. So a very important word that I use to describe it to is self-sacrificing. When I teach this, I find it very interesting that a lot of twos say to me, well, that's obvious. Everybody self-sacrifices themselves for others. So that's the compliant dutiful. I invite people to stop saying everybody does it. A lot of people do maybe, but not everybody does. Because if we think that way as a two, sometimes we forget, oh my gosh, that person's treated me really badly. Why did they do that to hurt me? But we forget that people don't have the same lens of always having to be a good, loving, caring, giving person. Not everyone is always giving and loving. And that's not wrong. That's not wrong either. So just to know that we have different lenses. So if you're a two, I invite you to question and ask yourself, what do you like to do that gives back to you? What do you do? Some people like to get a massage. Some people like to read a book. Some people like to go for a walk. What gives energy back to you? What makes you feel like you can love yourself? And sometimes I give a tip to twos to schedule it in their calendar, because doing it spontaneously may be harder to do at first. Giving back, loving yourself, is sometimes hard to do at the beginning for a two. It takes time, it's a process. And I will be going in a different time with a different video talking about the path of growth for a two. But for now, all I want you to do, if you're a two, is to focus on how can I give back love to myself? Can I look at myself in the mirror? Can I accept a compliment? How can I schedule more time in my week for me? And just stick with that for now before we go into the path of growth. And for tips for people who know twos, who live with twos or have twos in their workplace or at home, rather than asking them if they need help, start helping them. Start giving back to them rather than asking for it. Because if you ask, do you need my help? Can I help you? A two may find it hard sometimes to say, yes, please help me. Sometimes we need to go forward and do it ourselves. And remember, if you're not a two and you know twos in your life, that they also need love and care back. Sometimes we forget, if we're not a two, to give back to people, to give back to the two. We forget that they actually have needs too. So these are my tips and these are my ideas that we can start seeing each other from each other's lens. And as I say in Enneagram RC, to sit in the center with each other. Sit in the middle. Sit with your friend or your family member, or your partner, your colleague who's a two. Be with them, understand them. And if you're a two, learn the other lenses. See how other people see things. And you may understand why certain people do certain things differently to you. And understand that we are all unique and beautiful in our own way. So, subscribe below for more videos about Enneagram RC. And let's keep learning how to live life better together.